welcome to another Games Masters chat. Right now it's just me, but I believe Sam's going to be joining me probably in the next 10 minutes or so. If you have any questions, feel free to drop that into the chat. Really quickly, I just wanted to cover a couple of announcements before we carry on. I am Sarah from wayfarersleague.com. Wayfarers League. Wayfarersleague.com is where you can find us. Our Discord server link is on the very front page. You can also find it on the events page. Speaking of the events page, we have lots of events up there. Various games. I'm going to be putting up the new... we do a crap film club once a month where we watch a horrible film. And so I will be listing that very soon for October. This last month we watched American Ninja, which was horrible. But it was a lot more enjoyable to watch as a horrible film than the month before that where we watched Lamageddon. Don't watch it. That movie's horrible in the worst ways. Not redeeming at all. But we also have some one-shots that are up there, and I'll be putting more up very soon. Because I put up games for our members first, so if you would be interested in having access to games early, then you would become a member, a guild member for our website by becoming official. And we also have an artisan one where you guys get access to any content that we put together, such as our Homebrew Lab zine, which we have season 1 out. Talking a lot in a short amount of time. So we have our games up and some other exciting things. Me and one of my someone that I'm working with, we are working on the business plan to be able to actually make our real games tavern. So I'm very excited about that. That is very early stages still, but I wanted to mention it just because I'm really excited about it. Yes. I'm trying to think of any other announcements that we have going. We have our other shows that are happening. Right, next Sunday. Actually, this is also very exciting. We're going to have a brand new show. Revisited. Brand new to me. Behind the Game Master's screen. Behind the GM screen. That's the name of the show. And where Sam and I will be creating and building a campaign pretty much from scratch, where we will be making brand new monsters and societies, and it's going to be for D&D 5e, and it's going to be seafaring. So it's taking my party that I just took through Waterdeep Dragon Heist. They finished that with some loose ends, and so this is going to be the continuation of that game. So the party is level 6 at the moment, so it'll be beyond that. Maybe they moved, I can't remember if they went up to 7. Anyway, it's going to be that second tier going into the ocean. And so Sam and I have lots of exciting things that we're going to be building and sharing with all of you, and you are welcome to take it to your own table. But that will be starting next Sunday at 10 o'clock on Twitch, right here. And we are more than happy to have more people come and join us in the chat and build this crazy story together. We're going to make villains and encounters. I want to include making side quests for all my players because they have some really juicy backstories that I haven't really gotten to sink my teeth into because we've been doing Dragon Heist, and Dragon Heist is very contained in the city. Obviously, it takes place in Waterdeep, and a lot of their stuff I think goes beyond the city, and so I'm really looking forward to playing with those elements. And one of my players is a warlock, and so what you can do with warlocks is you have their patrons, and their patrons want things as well. They're different from gods. They're very, very powerful beings, but they also have their own motives. And so playing with the motives of my warlock's patron is very exciting to me, because he's a kind of a unique one as well. Because when we made him, the idea was that Mystra, the goddess of magic, as actually his patron, so it's a bit some wiggle room. It's kind of mixed with Elminster, and Elminster's is a iconic figure in the Faerun Swords, the Swords Coast lore and stories and things. I have not read them. I learned a lot because he decided he wanted to try this, and so he's a Hexblade warlock, but we kind of homebrewed it a bit to make it a bit beyond than just the Shadowfell. That his blade was actually part of Elminster's sword, so it's kind of a mixture of Elminster and a mixture of Mystra and all of that together to become his patron. And so I'm looking forward to that. Hi, Sam. Oh, let me unmute you.
I can see you speaking on camera, but I can't hear you because you're muted in Discord.
Let me fix that. There we go. Okay. Now we're ready to go.
Right.
I was just talking about our new show next Sunday, Behind the Jam Screen, and all the exciting things that we're going to be doing with that. Because one of the players is playing a Hexblade Warlock, except we had homebrewed it, so it's not a Shadowfell blade. It's not from that era. It's actually, he found a piece of Elminster's sword after some big fight that we made up. That cast Elminster off into, wherever. And so it's kind of a mixture, from his perspective, a mixture of like Mystra and Elminster, but I'm also thinking maybe we could play with that where he thinks it's that way, but it's actually some other being.
It's been tricked.
I don't know. It's something that I was just rambling a bit about because I'm excited about that.
I'm excited too. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we still need to go over all of the parties and where the players were at, and we'll do that at some point before Sunday. Yeah, I hadn't even gotten through announcements, so. But so we had talked about getting into the actual meat of Games Masters Chat. We had talked this last week about a couple different topics. One of them that you wanted to touch on was about the differences between standard array, rolling dice, or point buy, and how that can affect player build and the game itself.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it seems like such a simple thing, and people just kind of don't really. I don't know. People, at least to me, don't seem to take it like seriously. Mm-hmm. Like it's like, or it's as a big a deal as it not is. They should consider it. Right. I think it could have a massive impact on the game.
In what way?
So, the reason, my personal despise is like I really, really dislike rolling.
Yeah.
And I know that's a controversial opinion because loads of people love it, and the reason I hate it is not because it can. It will make your stats either massively well. You're going to get like the whole like spectrum, aren't you? So you could have massively overpowered stats, or you could have massively underpowered stats, or you could just have perfectly run of the mill exactly 13s across the board. You know, it could just be like, it could be anything.
Yeah.
But the reason I don't like it is because it causes a disparity between players. So, like, if you roll awesome, then good for you, awesome, wicked. Like, you're going to do really well because you got a good start on everything.
Yeah.
And you don't feel bad. But then if another player rolls normal, like just roll average stats, like if they were like I don't know, if they were like standard array style stats or something, then they're going to feel disenfranchised because. Or they're potentially going to feel disenfranchised because you roll well. And that's not your fault, and that's not their fault. That's purely an effect of how that, like, rolling dice for stats works, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I can...
That's the major problem I have, anyway.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I guess it really depends on the table and what people want to come in with for games, whether they're new or not. I think that's why one of the reasons that Wayfarers League, typically across the board, any one-shots or anything that we end up running... one-shots generally, end up being standard array or point buy, just to help keep that balance at the table, because we don't know who's coming to what table and what they want to accomplish in their games, and it helps even the playing field.
Well, also as well, like I think there's a big enough gap between standard array and points buy, and different arguments for both of those as well, because I think a lot of people just think that they're basically the same thing, and they're like really, really not.
No.
So like so standard array, obviously you just got your numbers and you just assign them where you're going to assign them, and that's it. It's fair, it's balanced. But then like a major argument that people who love rolling stats seem to make all the time is that they like having a stat that's really, really low because they rolled rubbish in it, because then it makes it really interesting to roleplay. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that could be really cool. And you can do that in points buy. You can deliberately give yourself a really rubbish stat, and so you don't have to like roll crappy and then go, oh, I'm going to assign it to this stat or whatever, and I'll have my character. If you've got an idea for your character and you say they want to be particularly stupid, or they want to be particularly naive, or they want to be particularly weak, or whatever, that's their gimmick or whatever, then you can do that with points buy, and it makes it really, really simple.
I never used standard
and
array.
Still balanced.
So standard array, the lowest you get is 8. Which is the lowest that you can go with point buy as well. But I think
it is, but you can have multiple 8s in point.
Yeah. With the point buy, you can have 3 15s and 3 8s.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
which is pretty funny. I like the.
I know. I like the kind of having control, because like when you make a character, you're designing the character, aren't you? You're like, I want to play this kind of character, and the stats are a part of that character. So like if you're making a character and you're like, oh well, I just rolled a bunch of random dice and it doesn't fit what my idea is, then it's like, well, the rules are like, well, too bad, that's it,
Yeah, I think that's why I do like point buy in that way, where you can. I just made a level 1 character on Friday, and I decided to make a bard, but I wanted her to be like, her background is an acolyte, and so I figured like she's probably really smart, and so I'm going to give her high intelligence, but she's been raised in this temple as well, so she doesn't have a lot of world knowledge, and so she's got low wisdom. So it's that kind of what you're saying is like designing the stats around what kind of character to play.
Yeah. The only argument I'm making is that the stats are part of the character that you're designing that you want to play. So why would you let that be a random thing? Why would you not just pick it?
Yeah.
And
Well, counter argument to that is that some people, you roll your stats and then decide what character you're going to play. So then,
that's fair. That's a totally different approach, though, isn't it? So.
Yeah, like because I've also done that where I will decide what class and race I want to play, and then I'll roll stats. I'm like, oh, this is the kind of character. Kind of fun. It's a lot more random, which I know some people they crave the randomness of the game.
No, I like the idea of like rolling your stats first.
Yeah.
Like doing nothing first, not even like coming up with ideas for characters, going completely blind. Roll your stats and then look at the dice and like just get a feeling for what they tell you, and then build a character. Like don't commit to a race or a class at all.
Yeah.
Literally just roll the dice and do it.
That's very divination.
Even
I'm gonna see what I see in the dice.
Yeah, exactly. Like the even better way to do it, I would say, would be like when you write out, you make your rolls of 4, take the 3 highest.
Yeah.
So you do that, but instead of just rolling the 6 stats and then assigning the numbers where you want, is like really buy into it and say, okay, this first one I'm rolling is my strength stat.
Yeah.
And then this next one I'm rolling is my constitution. So then you get all those statistics, and then you can build, and then go and pick your race and your character, like your class, and all that afterwards.
You could go even more so and not do, because there's all the different ways to even roll for your stats, right? And so, like the rules as written is, roll 4, drop your lowest, and then that's a number for one of the stats. The other ones is that, like the more hardcore one, only roll 3d6, and that is the number.
Yeah, that's wow. Okay. Like, I mean, you're kind of gimping yourself a little bit there.
Yeah.
But if everyone is doing that, I mean, like the difficulty that clashes with my argument as well, like before, which is that you're potentially gonna like roll 4s and up the whole time, and then someone's gonna potentially roll really low, and then it's just that kind of. But basically, what I want is like, there's enough. Actually, this is the other subject we were going to talk about later, wasn't it? Social dynamics.
Yeah.
But there's enough social dynamics and like issues and like clashes and stuff that happen at the table anyway.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, why would you add in that potential disparity, you know.
Yeah, I think that's again boils down to the table and who's playing.
Yeah,
Because I think the 3D6 would be really fun as a one shot with a bunch of friends that you already know. I wouldn't do I wouldn't do that for a campaign. I think that would be too much.
No, I know what you mean. I like there's a lot of like interesting ideas that I think work really, really well in one shot or very short campaign, like 2, 3, 4 sessions kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then, like, you know, just don't last in a longer term thing, you know. Like an actual antagonistic, like, you know, like evil game, like one where you're actually trying to screw people over. Like, you know, I don't think that would work. I don't think that would work in the long term. But you know, I think it would be amazing for a short term game.
Isn't there? What was that system that there's another whole game? Paranoia. Is that the name of it? Where essentially you live in this really weird dystopian society run by the almighty computer, and everyone has like these secret missions. But if you get caught going against like the computer or anyone else, like, hiya, I also do. Then they could essentially rat on you.
I like that. Like, that's a big part of like the whole character-driven part of the Alien RPG, the new one.
Yeah.
And it works really well, like really, really well, because you're always trying to forward your agenda, but you're always like, should I do it now?
Yeah.
It's like it's just like that. Drama is all injected just because, you know, you're trying to make all these decisions and trying to weigh it off, and you can't ask other people for advice like you would normally. It's like, should we go into this battle? Because, you know, I could do this, you could do that. It's like you can't. You got to make the decision on your own, so you only got yourself to blame if it goes wrong. Yeah,
it's turning what's normally a cooperative game into a competitive game. I don't know if I would like that.
It really depends on the system as well.
Yeah.
Like. And on also like the expendability of the characters. Like, the reason I think it really works in Alien is because it's like your characters are like a dime a dozen. Like, you know, your characters probably will die and probably will get like an alien will probably, like, you know, you'll get killed by a chest burster or something called smash a skull with its little alien mouthpiece thing. You know, whatever. So, like, you know, you're gonna die at some point. So the only way you succeed in that game is by completing your agenda, because then you get story points, and then those story points for your later characters, or potentially if your character hasn't died yet, is what you can kind of use as like your willpower points to like reroll dice.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a fun game.
Yeah, it works really well. It is good fun.
Jonathan is running a 5e one shot called Lair of the Lamb, where essentially you play peasants. You're level 0, and you get 3 of them, because it's expected that they're going to die. But you can also level up during it, depending on what you're able to gather and whatnot. It's really fun. I don't want to say too much about it, because he's probably going to run it again, and I think everyone should try it. I purposely did something in the game that was against my character. Like, I knew the character wouldn't do it, but I also knew I had 2 more available. Like, they were expendable, as you were saying, and I really wanted to see what this thing was. But I knew it was going to kill them. It was the big shiny button. I needed to press it.
Yeah. It's like, don't press the button. Well, of course I'm going to press the button.
Yeah. Meanwhile, everyone else is like their characters in the hallway hiding.
I know someone soon who's going to potentially be running one of those kind of games, like the kind of I don't know the best way to describe it. Like your I don't know. I don't want to say expendable game, because you still have your characters, you know, like you're still attached to them, but it's like it's more survival based. Like, get used to your characters dying kind of thing. And I'm really, really looking forward to it, because I think they're going to run like it. Well, I think they're going to see how it goes and then like potentially run it long term. But I hope they like it, and I hope they run it long term, just because it sounds so good. It sounds so good.
Yeah. You yes, I metagamed, and it felt really horrible while I did it, but I needed to know what happened when I pressed the button. I knew it was going to be the end, but I also had to. It was a different kind of game. It was a different,
Yeah. Also, as well, like, I mean, people like metagame is like the no-no, isn't it? In the community, people say you can't metagame. It's abhorrent behavior. But, but like, no, it's like if you're metagaming and the outcome is your character's gonna die, I'm like, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
That's great. Like, of course, if your character dies because you metagame, that's absolutely okay to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so. Or it's like, sacrificing them for something. I mean, this was not a sacrifice. This was just, I wanted to see what would happen. But yes.
Oh, I mean, like, I assume it worked out how you expected it to work out. Like,
It did, entirely. My character died and everyone else survived.
Was there a point? Was there a point afterwards you were like, I didn't need to press the button. Why did I do that?
Nope,
Like,
nope.
I knew what was going to happen.
I am perfectly happy with what happened. Everyone knew what was going to happen. I just needed it. So
it's just, I just needed it. It's like when you get home from work and you're like, oh, it's been a horrible day. I really needed G&T. You know, it was really like kind of like, I just need it.
I needed to see how this death was going to play out. The perfect games question, like, how do you handle metagaming? With a conversation.
Yeah. It also depends on how serious the metagaming is, how often they do it, that kind of thing. Like, if it's just a kind of because you get new players doing it all the time because they don't understand the kind of the dynamic.
Yeah.
And that's not their fault. You know, it's fine. Even if you've had a conversation with them, it's a really easy mistake to make because if you like, when I first started playing role-playing games, I did it all the time. And everyone I played with did it all the time, just because we came from like a kind of a tabletop battle, you know, where we like Warhammer and Warhammer 40k and stuff like that. We came from that kind of background.
Yeah.
So there was like, oh, I'm going to pre-measure to see if I can shoot this guy. No, you can't. You know. So like that, it's all that kind of stuff. The metagaming.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think there's a problem with it unless it causes even in like for experienced people. I don't think it's that big a deal unless it causes a problem for other players or for the story as a whole. Like if someone's just kind of like thinking to themselves, like, you know, it's like I do it without even realizing when I'm playing a game, because like I'll be with a newer GM and they'll describe the monster to me and I'll be like, yeah, I know exactly what that monster is. And I know exactly how to kill it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh damn, and I try to do what my character would do, and then, but if my character would also do that, then what I tend to do is like try and recognize my own metagaming, and then say to the GM, would my character know this? Blah 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 blah. Do you want me to take a test for it or something? And then they've got their opportunity to go, no, they wouldn't, or yes, you can test for it, and that kind of thing. And try and be fair, but I don't know. Handle metagaming. I suppose it depends on the seriousness of it.
Yeah, yeah, because I remember Katie talking about it, that when she started running this one, a module, it was all through voice, through online, and then one of the players actually had the campaign book and was looking at the map. And it was like, oh yeah, I can see the map here. It's like, no, you need to not do that.
See, that's extreme metagaming. That's ridiculous, to be honest.
But then, like you said, it's like a new player doesn't know what metagaming is and doesn't understand. You need to come at it from the perspective of your player, or your character, rather than.
Like, well, with that example you gave as well, the individual who's doing it needs to kind of take some responsibility, because even if you don't know what metagaming is, I mean, like, why would you do that? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah,
but then again, that was a conversation with the player, and then they're like, oh, okay, then I'll do that. I'm sorry, you placed the enemy one square too far to the left, Katie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it all. One thing with within games themselves, you can help with also as a player, because I remember like during fights and whatnot, people will start over talking or over planning during a battle, and some people might be okay with that. Other people, like I would just like, you don't know, like you can't make a decision for the other players because you're in the middle of this fight and you don't know what my character's doing, that kind of stuff, or there's no time to be able to talk about this and to plan, which that can be a real problem because players have a tendency to over plan, or groups that I've noticed have a tendency to over plan, and if you start trying to do that midst combat, that'll make games last forever. Combat already takes a long time in D&D.
I think like on any of these well, actually we were talking about like the potential of like how to deal with like what was the question? I can't remember who it was who posed the question, but we were going to talk about it later, like how to deal with racism and stuff like that kind of thing. I mean, like that's the extreme example, but I suppose it's the same advice for this, which is just talk to people.
Yeah.
Don't be scared. Like honestly, really, really, do not be scared to be like, that's not acceptable. Stop it. Like, if it's your game, like you're allowed to do that. Absolutely do it. Like, don't feel bad about it. Like, I think I get people all the time telling me like, oh, like I've been told, oh, I'm too polite for that. I can't do it. Or yeah, but what if they leave? And like, what if this? I'm like, what does it matter? Like, like if they leave, then you definitely made the right decision to talk to them. Because if they leave because you told them to stop doing something that you weren't happy about, and then they left because of it, then they should be leaving because of it. So.
Yeah, and the fit for the table isn't working.
Yeah. That's definitely a thing that I would like to see people be better at as people and as GMs, is like being direct, being honest, and not being worried about the outcome. Because it's like there's nothing wrong with being direct. There's nothing wrong with being honest. Like people, like loads of people think I'm rude because of that. So you can't really deal with it, I suppose, can you?
No, I feel like I say it a lot. It's like I don't like it when people pussyfoot around topics. It's like just tell me what's wrong. And I think it's the tendency that people tend to have, especially I think in this hobby, because this hobby tends to attract more of the like socially awkward or introverts and the people who don't like confrontation. And so when you have two people we have someone who disagrees with how something is going, you expect there to be confrontation when you bring it up, because you're saying what you're doing is wrong. Maybe not direct, like, or what you're doing is affecting me negatively, and so you want to change.
Either way, you're making a negative insinuation towards them, aren't you? So and then you're worried about the repercussions of that, and it's like, well, I mean, the repercussions, like you want the repercussions because you want it to change, don't you?
Yeah. So. And I think with this kind of topic, no matter if you have an issue at the table, as we've been talking about, there was actually, it sounds really weird, but I did a course in one of those corporate courses when I was working at Lucasfilm, called it was
like an NLP thing or something.
It was about having difficult conversations. And the main thing that I took away from that was that when you go into a conversation that is going to create conflict, don't focus about the conflict in that conversation. Focus on what you want the outcome to be. So it's like, you're going to go talk to this player about how badly they've been metagaming. You want the outcome to be for them to focus more on their character and for them to continue playing the game and for the game to be fun for everybody. The story is. So you may be going in saying, I really, you're doing this thing that is really hard, like not helping the game and the story. And so it may be a difficult conversation, but to focus on what you want the outcome to be, you'll probably have an easier time doing it.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's like there's lots of tools to allow you to kind of approach the conversation and actually get up. Like the trick to like having a good cogent conversation is to like come to the table on equal footing with the individual you're trying to talk to, and not make them feel like they're being like attacked, because as soon as someone feels like they're attacked, obviously they'll be defensive, and then then you're not going to get anywhere, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, it just depends on what you want to do. I mean, I haven't got a problem with a confrontation, so I'm not.
No.
I'm not as polite when I ask people about things. But I just gotta say, But that is just me, and I know not everyone's like me, so that's fair. So it is difficult, but it's definitely one of those things that if you want to improve, like when you get to a certain level, you know the rules, and you can build a good encounter, and you can make things interesting, have a cool storyline, blah blah blah. Atmospheric descriptions. You're like ticking all the little GM boxes. You're like, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get to that point, like the only real way to like improve is to really understand your players, like internally, like really understand like who they are and like the interactions between them, like what they want out of their character, all that kind of like background, like psychological stuff. And like a really, really big part of that is like making sure your game is healthy, and you like it will make you such a better GM to be able to go to someone, your behavior's crap, I don't want you in my game anymore, and like that's the extreme example of it.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
you should
To be able to cater your table in a way that it creates a fun game for everybody, and if someone's not fitting that table, then you need to be realistic and adult about it.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Adult is the key word.
Yeah, and I think what's also important on the reverse side, as a GM, you should be open to criticism and feedback.
No pot kettle black stuff. It's like if you're going to give feedback, you have to be willing to take it as well.
Yeah, because it is the game itself is a conversation, and so you give and take from both sides of it, to be able to create this space to make these amazing stories and memories. Being respectful to each other and being open to each other and being able to take that feedback.
Elkie, I agree with you, by the way, that it is a lost art.
Yeah.
It's like the art of conversation is slowly dying out.
Yeah, I think part of it is that we do so much text conversations, even now, like having the chat. Something is lost in text, and so I would say any of these kind of conversations, try to do it verbally, because so much is lost in text. You don't get the inflections and the like the feeling behind it, because you can interpret text in so many different ways.
There's only so much you can get across with an emoji, basically. That's what I say.
Like I remember, Ted sent me a question, and I responded back with like 2 words, like, yeah, sure, whatever it was. And he came up and talked to me. He was like, is everything okay? It's like, yes. I just couldn't type that much on my phone.
It's difficult. It's like even on Discord, when you've got a camera, there's still something lost.
Yeah.
Even if it's just because there's like a minuscule millisecond delay, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it is difficult. But it's like when they say if you're gonna break up with someone, do them the respect to speaking to them in person. So like if you're gonna talk to someone about anything, it's always better to do it in person, especially when you want a positive outcome.
Yeah, definitely.
When someone says, you didn't actually. Yeah, I know. Oh God,
man,
that is such a peeve of mine. LOL. Like, did you actually laugh out loud? Because I don't.
Sam. Whenever I type LOL, I am actually laughing out loud.
No, I know you are, because you're an activist. But or like ruffle, rolling on the floor laughing.
Yeah.
I don't think you are.
The whole world and the whole internet is just full of lies.
It is. Oh God, do you know the biggest lie?
What's that?
The biggest my biggest internet hate.
Okay.
This game is really addicting. It's addictive. I hate it so much.
That's like people using literally in a figurative sense.
Oh yeah. When they use literally to as a kind of like a power word to like make something sound more important. It's like it was literally like, and it's like, but it wasn't though. Like,
it wasn't. Calm down.
Yeah, chill.
Now I think we're gonna run out of time if we don't shift over to our other topic that we wanted to discuss, being the much heavier things. Because we had. I feel like I wrote it really concisely to you on Discord. Sexism and racism at the table, and how to avoid it and how to handle it, and really to support the players that are experiencing it. Like, you have the players that are shy and don't know how to speak up when they are feeling that.
So I would say that it's how to avoid it and how to handle it.
Yeah.
I think how to handle it is more important to start off with. So how to handle it is like more of that kind of. This is the extreme example of what we were talking about before when we were talking about metagaming, which is that this is the point in the conversation where you need to be like immediately, that is not acceptable.
Yeah.
There's no kind of like, this isn't the bit we're talking about where you sit down and talk to someone and say, oh, let's have a conversation, I feel like I want this outcome, blah blah blah. No, it's like, no, immediately stop now. That's not okay. In fact, like, and I think the reason you have to do that is because, again, it would be easier to have a conversation with a person.
Yeah.
But in that situation with something that unacceptable, if you're trying to engage with them, you're condoning their actions by proxy, and it's like, no, that's not acceptable. Stop immediately.
Yeah, and I think it just popped in my head. It's like, and if when you confront someone that says something racist or sexist, and there's like, oh, it's only a joke. It's like, no, it's not a joke. That's a cop-out for bad behavior.
Yeah. It's like if someone says something offensive like that, and then I call them on it, they're like, oh, you know what, I didn't realise what I'm saying, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's an acceptable answer.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a joke is, oh my god, that's like a red rag to a bull for me. I hate that so much. It's like, no, you're gonna admit it, and I'm gonna make you admit it.
Yeah. And I think anyone who says something like that, you really need to stop for a second and really consider what you've said, because it's that same idea. I think it's the same crowd that kind of, like, we're going to end up getting a little political here. It's just like the woke mentality, people saying something against the woke culture, and I think the danger is looking at that as the us and them kind of thing. That's the danger of sexism and racism, is the us versus them. There is no us and them. It is all of us. There is no them.
Yeah. Like, I don't like the term woke, because I'm like, well, you're either accepting of people or you're not accepting of people. Yeah. That's it. It's not. There's no minutia to it. You're either not an asshole or you're an asshole.
Yeah. Or you could be an aware asshole.
Yeah, you can be an aware asshole. You could be aware and totally educated and still be a douchebag.
But yeah, I think that's the thing, is being realistic and understanding that the people at your table are people, and everyone has their own experiences and own, sensitivities. And one of the things that you can do I know we're talking about how to handle it, but also how to avoid it, is that you can use tools like the X card, or, just to say that you have this tool for their players that if they don't want to, if something starts to go a certain direction, they can use this to say, I'm not comfortable with this. And so then as a GM, it is your responsibility to change focus that's really if something's happening in game.
Yeah. That's definitely an avoidance thing, I think, as well. Yeah. Like the kind of trying to nip it in the bud before it happens. Like, again, that's another skill I was talking about. This kind of understanding the social dynamic and like the interaction between your players, and understanding a bit about your players internally after you've been playing with them for a while, and knowing that someone says something and the direction they're taking it, and you almost imperceptibly know where they're going to go with it, and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to nip that in the bud, or I'm immediately going to like cut it off, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is difficult. That requires like a lot of knowledge of your players, and usually you have to be playing with them for quite a long time for that. I mean, I want to say there's a secret kind of like, a special secret ingredient, kind of like, there's a magical little answer, this tidbit of information. But like with most of this stuff, it's just standing up and going, no, that's not okay.
Yeah.
And being brave enough to say that, and like once you do it the first few times, you will have zero problem doing it in the future, I guarantee you. I used to be terrified of doing it, and then I said it 2 or 3 times, and now I'm like, now I actually kind of enjoy it. Like, it's just a little bit sick, actually. But
I think one thing that I do want to point out that a lot of people may not even be aware of is like with sexism and habits as we have as people, and just the culture and things that we may not even be aware that we're doing. And one of the big things that I know that does happen is the tendency for men to interrupt women. And it happens. And especially, with some women, like, not necessarily having the confidence to speak up, especially if you're a new player, and then not really being sure of yourself. I mean, I'm sure this happens with men too, when like they're not comfortable. But I know this is an ingrained trait in our culture. Having experienced it, I am much more confident, and I am much more of a person to say, I'm in the middle of saying something. Could you please stop?
Yeah, exactly.
But I know a lot of women don't have that same confidence at the table.
Yeah.
And
no,
so,
I know exactly what you mean.
yeah, and so I think one thing that we can do as game masters is being aware when you have women at your table, to be more aware of what's going on when you see that. And if I think that's one of the benefits of having video on, is being able to see people wanting to say something, and then if they don't, then you can and so you can easily say, hey, did you want to say something, or what's your character doing, and talk specifically to that player.
Yeah, I've got like, I'm not going to name names or anything, but I've got a player in one of my games that suffers from that problem.
Yeah.
Where so I have to like jump in and give them their kind of their moment, because other people will just keep doing the talking over them kind of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's like, it is sad, but it's just that kind of thing, isn't it? It's just that it's almost ingrained.
Yeah.
There's different levels of it too, as well. Like, it depends. So some people might, be doing it just because they're a more confident individual, and they just want to say what they want to say and get it out.
Yeah.
Like I suffer from that a lot. Like, just blurting out what I say. Like, I do it like this. My wife is smiling at me while I'm saying this. I blurt stuff out without thinking, because I need to get it out. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a symptom of me having like two very, very loud brothers when I grew up. So it was like, yeah. And like I eat really fast because of that as well. Because if you didn't eat fast, you didn't get seconds, because it was all gone. So yeah.
Yeah, my sister was the talker, and so I think I've slowly found my voice as I got bigger and got older.
Yeah, I think the advice is just being aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
And as soon as you recognize the symptoms, or as soon as you see it happen, dealing with it immediately.
Yeah.
Like, I have, and there's absolutely, like, this is an extreme example, but if someone is like actively racist or sexist at your table, and it's not kind of like it's not something that you could kind of maybe go, oh, I should talk to them about that kind of thing. It's something extreme, like something that's really like in your face immediately. Then you can just be like, there's no problem be going, can you leave? That's not acceptable. I don't want you in my game anymore. You're allowed to do that immediately there and then in front of everyone. Don't feel bad about doing it. Do it. Like, I've done it before. So it's not.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and there's going to be a negative bit after it where you feel bad about it maybe, and then you have that conversation with yourself, like, oh, should I feel bad about it? Their behaviour was terrible, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. It's fine. Just do it. Like, it's important that it gets done. It doesn't matter what the aftermath is. It's okay.
Yeah, and I think it's finding that confidence. And I know a lot of people don't have that, and that's if you are one of those people that don't have that confidence to be able to speak up in game or something, that you can like talk to your GM afterwards, or privately, to tell them the issues that you're having. And if it is your GM itself, talk to them about what's happening and that you're not comfortable with it. But you can also find another table. You can also come to us at wayfarersleague.com. We are very supportive of new people and helping you find your voice. And hopefully, I will stand by any of our tables. And if you do find issues at our tables, you can come and talk to me, and I will sort it out. Because I want our spaces to be open and available to everybody.
Yep, safe space. It's all good.
Absolutely. I mumble now because I was told by my siblings I was too loud. Aww. And I suffered from eating too fast. Older brothers always tried to beat me to the mac and cheese extras.
Mac and cheese. God, mac and cheese. That means someone actually cooked mac and cheese for you, mate. Like, the best my mum did was like turkey dinosaurs and like smiley potato faces, and that was on like that was an extravagant day.
Oh, but in the States, you've got mac and cheese. You've got Kraft mac and cheese. And so
you just buy it frozen, don't you? Whatever.
Well, it's a box, and so you have the packet of powdered cheese and the little macaroni pasta add milk or whatever. I don't know. I didn't really have it. I didn't like it as a kid. I don't like it as an adult. So. But yeah, it's super easy. No, there's people that absolutely love it. Like Katie asked my mom to bring some for her because she's coming to visit soon.
I was more going to say, is it bad that you just told me about a bag of powdered cheese, and all I want to do is like, I don't know, get like a pepperami and lick the end of it and stick it in the cheese and eat it.
That's disgusting.
That's just me. Yeah, that's fair. I'm pretty rank. My wife's nodding again here. But yeah, I mean, sorry, I just throwing you off. My bad. So, but yeah, like to get back on what we were talking about, still up.
There we go. Yeah.
There we go.
Sorry, guys. My internet decided to drop out, and it's probably not going to be very stable.
We'll tie up quickly, won't we? Yeah. Yeah. What was I talking about? I was talking about we were talking about all like the having to deal with people and being direct, all that kind of thing. Yeah. The reason you have to be direct is not for like you obviously need to be direct for the extreme cases where people's behaviour is just not acceptable, full stop. But the real reason you really, really need to be direct is for the occasions when their behaviour is just slightly not okay. Because if someone's behaviour is slightly not okay and you don't say anything about it and you let it slide because you don't want that confrontation, then they'll keep doing it. Yeah. And if they keep doing it, everyone's just going to get more and more and more and more and more angry, and eventually it will culminate in something genuinely negative, like a player will just leave and not give you the real reason, or you can have an extreme scenario where it blows up the game and people actually have an argument, which is like exactly what you don't want. So you have to address those things because if you catch it when it's a small thing like that, the person will just go, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't realise, my bad.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah, because I mean, some of these things people might not even be fully aware of what they're doing, and that is an issue. And so, same thing. Like if someone's doing something in your game, or if you're a player in that game, and something small like this comes up, mention it to your GM because people might not even be fully aware that there is an issue.
Yeah. I mean, like it's fine to talk to doing it yourself. That's not a big deal. And like any reasonable GM will at least take consideration, which is if the person is not going to be spoken to or it's not going to be discussed, the absolute bare minimum is you want other people to know about it.
Yeah, and I think if you bring it up and they brush it off, or nothing changes, then that's really a question if it is a safe table for you to be playing at.
Exactly.
And
I feel like, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it just seems like me, it just occurred to me, it's like the ultimate irony that people who put on silly voices and act like they're other characters and do crazy stuff and enjoy themselves during a roleplay game have problems talking to people about real life matters.
Yeah.
It is. It's a very odd situation, and I understand why it is that way. It's just my sixth sense of humor.
Well, it's funny because it's like you role play the dramatic moments or it's super silly and whatnot. But I think that's when these things come up and it's a bit more serious. If you're just doing goofy, silly things with your friends all the time, you're probably not used to having these serious, more vulnerable conversations, because sometimes it can be hit a bit deeper.
Actually, that's a good bit of advice as well. Is that if you do practice being more direct with people and being more honest and talking to people and being more adult about stuff, you yourself become more confident, and in turn, your role playing will be way, way, way better.
It's true, and it kind of feeds into each other, doesn't it? If you that's what you can take as yourself. If you don't feel confident having these kind of conversations, you could make a character that is, and you can practice in your character being more direct and being very honest with the other characters, because that does, again, creates this nice safe environment for you to do these things. It's why, roleplay is used so much in therapy, because it allows you to practice these things.
Yeah, so it's basically fooling your...
You dropped out, Sam. Missed that last word.
More confident, that's it. Oh, okay, so sorry. So basically it's just fooling your brain into, learning the skill, essentially. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah, tricking your brain.
Your brain's really easy and it's really good.
Yeah.
I do it all the time.
If you're watching and you haven't seen us before, we're Wayfarers League. You can find all the information about us at wayfarersleague.com. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We can spend just a couple more minutes answering any last minute questions. But we have free games that are up on our events page on our website. There's a link to our Discord server there as well. All our games are free. We are happy to teach people how to run their own games. We'll teach people how to play games. We run more than just D&D. We have I don't even know what's up right now. It might just be a lot of 5e stuff right now. But we have run, Shadowrun, Honey Heist, Goblin Quest. I am learning Fate right now to feel more confident to run it for the community. I don't know what else we have. Anyway, we've got games. We also have the Crap Film Club that'll be coming up this next month. And we've got a book club in Discord, and we've got a lot of video games happening. Next, Call of Cthulhu, thank you. Yes, that is running. Next Tuesday, you'll even see me and Falaise and probably Fee. I don't know who else is going to play us. We're going to be playing Phasmophobia, so you can see us try to exterminate or stuff with ghosts, and you'll probably see me die every single time, because that seems to be what happens when we play these games. I'm not very good at it.
Well, you're meant to be scared, isn't it? That's fine.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And
it's half the audience, it's okay.
Yeah, I don't play scary games by myself. I'm impressed I'm even playing this one.
You just play them with other people and make a fool of yourself.
Yeah, I'll just follow people around in the scary houses and try not to get killed by the ghost. We also have, in a couple weeks, the next episode of Homebrew Lab, which I believe Sam is going to be in that one.
Much excite.
We're going to make a spell. That's in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And naturally, we've got Everchosen on Fridays, and next Sunday will be the first episode of Behind the GM Screen with me and Sam, and where we're making a seafaring D&D 5e campaign. We'll probably make a bunch of homebrew things and create settings and all sorts.
It's a morning show as well.
Yes, morning. 10 a.m.
So we're going to be sitting here with a cup of coffee, feeling bad about ourselves because of the previous evening, and then going, yes, let's design this. Hey guys, and then you can sit there with your coffee and poke fun at us. Yeah.
Yes, it'll be good. I'm really looking forward to that. So no more questions came in. That's totally fine. But we will be back for this show again next Sunday at 4 p.m. It'll probably be me and I don't know, one of the other GMs of Wayfarers League, and this has been a really good conversation.
Yeah, I love it. It's a juicy subject.
It is, and I'm sure we will talk much more about it. Oh, a question! Quick,
Oh.
drop it right now. I was about to sign off. Merch. Thank you. Yes, you can find merchandise through our website. There's a shop tab, so a store tab, whatever it says, and there is a shop and services because not only can you buy merch through our shop, which there is a link to Redbubble and Cotton Cart with a whole variety of things. I have my water bottle here, which I love, that I got from the Redbubble shop, and there's stickers and there's shirts and there's bedding and there's all sorts of crap. And you can also get the first zine that we have put out in PDF form of the Homebrew Lab. So everything that we made in the first season is available as PDF form, and you also get the map. We do need dice. It's a process. But you get the maps that I made for this volcano encounter as well. So you get nice stuff from that. And a token for the monster. And services, we also actually offer professional GMs if you want to hire one for a very specific bespoke games. We're happy to help with that. And I also have art. I will draw. If you pay me, I will draw you something. There you go. That's what we have in our shop section. And there'll probably be more at some point. And we will work on dice. Right now I am working on a business plan for our games tavern here in Godalming. I am very excited about that. So we are actively working towards that. And once we have our actual shop, then we will have a space to actually have merchandise, such as dice and playing cards. Anyway.
Yeah, well, maybe dice holders like the one I got. But oh god, no, she doesn't know it was me. Oh no.
What?
I got a Secret Santa. Don't tell anyone this. The internet's gonna know now. But I got Katie that dice thing, didn't I? I got Katie that dice holder, didn't I? That dice like rolling case thing with the wafer symbol.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. But yes, so that is an answer to your question. Thanks for asking. Otherwise, you can come join us on our Discord server and ask all your questions and hang out with us and watch our conversations spiral out of control as they generally do. Compass duster. Yeah, that would be cool. Otherwise, I'm going to say good evening and good night, and we will see you all next time. Thanks, Sam.
Bye. That's alright. Enjoyed it.